can't
itself.
see the equipment, but the equipment does look like I
Hmm.
said. There's a joke that is a premeditated joke, but I'm going to repeat it because I thought it was funny. The cameras look like you're getting an X-ray at a dentist's office. That's okay. Bomb the second time, but that's fine. We're here to
Yeah,
learn and grow as a person.
we are.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine. It definitely like it's like I'm eating corn on the cob. That was a repeat joke too. Now you guys wouldn't have known that. I didn't have to say it, but it does feel like corn on the cob kind of Mike.
You don't have to break the fourth wall unless you want to.
I love breaking the fourth wall. It's my favorite thing. Where's the camera? Wait, is there any on
This,
my face?
I think it's this one. So if you look at that, yeah, now you're making eye contact with
Hey
it.
guys, I'm here with you. Welcome to the podcast, Spotify studio.
Hey, do you remember when we ran a marathon together randomly?
Half marathon,
Half marathon, still.
and I remember finishing it and going, oh, "I'll never do this again."
Same.
Right? But you had done them before.
No, I hadn't.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had done like 5Ks.
Oh, it was fulfillment. It was
Yeah.
like I'm glad I did it. I go, okay, I can. I just did it, but then I was like, I won't say never again. I will because now that I'm 40, there's things that aren't working as much.
I'll say never again, and I can say that with confidence.
You're a
because,
lot younger.
Yeah.
But you could.
I'm not a lot younger.
But you could. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that again. I'm not. I don't even run anymore
I was going to ask.
because my knees started aching.
Same. Well, my knees, I'm pretty sure, were ruined during that half marathon.
For me, like I was running like a year ago, and something hurt my knee, and I go, well, I don't have insurance, so I'm gonna stop running.
Yeah.
And then I feel good right now, but I'm not pushing it now. I don't even really. I just lift lightly, and do intermittent fasting.
I mean, that's all you have to do. But I remember I think you told me about it maybe 6 or 7 weeks before the actual half marathon.
Oh, really?
And I just, on a whim, was like, yeah, sure, let's do that.
Oh, I was
And
training.
yeah, see, I wasn't training. And I managed to actually do, I think, like the first 8 or 9 miles, no problem. But then after that, my knees buckled at one point, and I felt it in the moment that it happened. And then I like limped the last 2 miles.
But you had a really good time for females. Not that there's a difference between males and females, but there is timing wise.
But that's because I was good in those first like 9 miles.
Yeah,
made good time,
you
and then
did
I, like,
under
walked.
3 hours.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But then my knees hurt so bad, and then remember you didn't know where you parked the car,
Oh,
so we were walking
that's
around
the
the
funniest
parking
thing ever.
garage.
Dude, we finished a half marathon and then took about a half hour to find the car.
Mhm.
And literally, that's the worst situation where you can't find the car is when you want to just go home.
Mhm.
Because, by the way, it's early in the morning. Like, it was like at
It was
6
like
a.m.
yeah.
And the only time I've ever been up at 6 a.m. was for high school and flights. So
Same.
there's no reason for me to be up that early. And then that I had to do to just prove it to myself that I could do it. And then afterwards, not finding the car because it was like 2018 or something. So I didn't have location on my phone yet with car,
Mhm.
which that will never happen again. But that was that was funny and miserable.
Yeah, it was so miserable that I had to sit down and be like, "You go find it," because my
Yeah.
legs are just not
I
even working.
apologize for that moment. I apologize for that moment, but also you're welcome for that memory, which is
It
a
is a
fun
good
memory.
memory.
It's a good memory.
For
So,
sure. Yeah.
and life is all about memories, guys. When you're dying, you'll remember whatever memories you remember. But hopefully it's the good ones.
That was profound.
Yeah. You're not going to remember your checking account, you're not going to remember what you're stressed out about. You're going to remember a bunch of different things and then you die. And they're all going to be fun things. And one of those will be that. Hopefully, maybe not. Hopefully you're like 70 and you have so many things. And you're like, oh yeah, I did run a half marathon one time. But who knows? You'll be in Ukraine at that point.
There will be no Ukraine at that point.
Eek.
Eek. Right into the heavy stuff.
Yeah, right into it. Whatever. We gotta hit the hot topics so that, the buzzwords and then people hey, thanks for helping out. There's a producer off screen. Is there? You'll never know. But there could be one. Anyways, thanks for coming to my show, guys. This is live at the Spotify studio, episode 1. Michael Lenoci and Galina, Rivina.
Crushing it.
Crushing it. That's what it's called, crushing it.
Yeah. Have you become an official West Side douche yet?
What is a West Side douche?
Just someone that knows that they're better than everybody who's not on the West Side.
I definitely feel better than
Yeah.
people. but I no, I just love like I'll never. If I'm in LA, I'll be on the West Side
Yeah.
forever. I kind of was like, man, I should have been out here in my 30s, but it's fine. I would have not got work done, but I like being near the beach. It's relaxing
You go a lot?
all the time. Like at least to the park, Pacific Palisades Park a lot. You know, and on Sundays and Saturdays there's a bunch of old people sitting down watching the old guys play. They play the live music. Have you ever seen that?
No.
So like this band comes out there every Sunday and I think Saturday there's one band, but Sunday there's two bands and they play like, you know, like light jazzy, I don't know, whatever. And then all the old people are just kind of sitting around watching, and I'll just kind of walk by and be like, "Yeah, I'm the young, I'm the young guy around here." But there's a lot of young people walking through there, but it's pleasant and whatever. It doesn't matter.
No,
Anyways,
it does matter. I
but
love
it's
it over
nice.
there.
It's so nice. And then food's good. Dating wise, it's better. More regular
Oh,
people.
yeah. That's the
Yeah,
biggest difference. Like when regular people, you mean like non-industry types?
yeah. Which is like I'm done with that.
Yeah.
You can't date people who are in the same business.
What did you in with industry people? Did you have like a final straw?
No, just it's just like actresses, comedians. It's just like everybody's a psychopath. So what are we doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? You can't have two psychopaths date. So it's just like it's not. You know, we're all selfish. So, and then over there, I'm at the age too where I'm like I've dated a lot of single moms and I'm fine with it. And I'm like, oh, I'm probably gonna be a stepdad at one point. If I am a dad, it's gonna be a stepdad. It's not. I'm not gonna be a dad. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be a stepdad.
That's how I feel.
Relax. You're relax. You just gotta find a guy who's just like got a 401k and he's like, I'm so tired on a Friday. And he goes to happy hour. You need to find a guy who's tired on a Friday. He's like, oh, you're gonna do a show? Okay, we'll just come over after. And then like he's got some like food he ordered, and then you get to pick at it, and then you go to sleep. And Saturday he goes to the beach, and then he has energy for Saturday night, and then Sunday he winds down because got to get ready for the week. It
Yeah.
sounds like as I'm saying this, you're bored of that guy, this
Already?
imaginary guy you're bored of already. What do you want? Some guy who climbs mountains and stuff?
No, absolutely not, because I'm not going to be climbing them with him.
That's what I'm saying. This is exactly what you need. You need a guy who winds down and gets ready for the week, and he's tired on a Friday.
I like that.
Does that sound good?
I'm going to have to update my profile.
Yeah.
No,
And
I
you
don't
find
think.
I don't know if you can find that the West Side's a little. You might have to go to Manhattan Beach for it.
I mean, that's so ironic because went on a date with a guy from Manhattan Beach who was exactly like what you're describing,
Yeah.
and with kids, but it didn't work out.
Well, I don't think you could deal with the kids thing yet.
Oh, really? I don't
Mm-mm.
know. I also feel like I have big
How old are you?
stepmom energy. I'm 35.
Yeah, you're too young to deal with someone with a stepmom at 35. What are we in the suburbs? Get the F out of here. That's not no way. You got to find like just like you're finding like a 35, 36-year-old guy that's just like I'm over the partying and he's not doing ketamine. And there's a lot of ketamine on the West Side with
There's a
these
lot of
guys.
it. Yeah.
Um no, the thing about the West Side is there's young girls
Hmm.
like 25 to 30 and they're just kind of like enjoying the dating scene and they're out getting drunk and being stupid. But then there's like 30 to 35, there's not a lot of them
No.
because they're in relationships or something. But there's so many. I mean, I've never met so many 36, 37 to 44-year-old single women who have either been divorced or they're just maybe they went to the West Side like me and they're like over it. And there's a lot. Like every time I open up my app, you know, when it says someone's liked you
Hmm.
on Hinge, all my likes, let's say I'll have like 10 and it's like 50, 48, 47. I'm like, what is going on?
Do
I
you have
go,
your age set that high?
yeah, I have it fucking all the way expanded. I like to
18
see
to
everything.
99.
I might have it. I probably have it 24.
Okay, fair enough.
Although I know I wouldn't date a 24.
I don't think you would get along with a 24.
I could sleep with a 24-year-old.
Yeah, that's different.
I'm not gonna. Hey, whatever you think, what you want, creep or
Mhm.
not. You could sleep with someone that's different, but to have a conversation and date and think of a future together, probably 31.
Hmm.
Is the like even like a 28-year-old I think I went out with, and I was like, there's just they don't have the life experience. 31, 32, even 33 is kind of rough. I got to be honest.
Wow.
I got to be honest. Like I went out with this lady and she was 30. I say lady.
Hmm.
She was 38, but she was like she just wanted to chill and she's like, I'll cook for you, and I was like, this is a nice person.
Hmm.
This is a nice person who understands the world.
And that's a fully developed human being that knows what they want, what they bring to the table, what they're looking for. Like,
They've been through some shit.
yeah, absolutely.
They've got to been through some, even like there was a girl I dated last year, she was like 33. There's something. 33 is not, that's a tough time for a woman, right? You're
Interesting.
kind of like, oh, this is who I am, right? What do you think?
I think I went through it around 30, but obviously everyone has different, and some people have arrested development because maybe they were like coddled or had just had different life experiences. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think before 30, I definitely was not in a place where I could have handled a serious relationship, or at least not have been mature in certain
You have a
aspects
good
of it.
voice for like a dating like world. Like if
Oh,
someone called in and was like, I need some dating advice, you're like, okay, let me explain this to you.
I mean, I would totally do that.
You should have people
I
and
think I
give them
have good
some
advice for
advice.
everyone other than myself.
Hmm. Interesting. Would
Hmm.
you date? What's the youngest guy you would date?
Ooh, I have dated 6 years younger, but that was not
So like
that
a
fitting.
29-year-old, or when you were younger, you're saying?
When I was younger, I dated someone that was 5 years younger than me and then 6 years younger than me all in a row. And primarily, I always date like a couple of years younger, but it's not intentional. It's just like that's who.
It's different for women.
Yeah.
It's like because there's something more masculine for a guy to be older than a woman, right? Because women like a man, right? And
Yeah.
then age is manly. That is why women are attracted to older men usually.
Hmm.
But so when a woman is older than a guy, for that guy, it's like, what? Maybe does he have some like mommy stuff? Like he wants like an older. It's
Yeah, but a
interesting.
couple years younger than me, I wouldn't call it mommy
No,
issues.
but I've never. I'm trying to think. Like I've been with older women,
Hmm.
but not dated older women. Just like to like actually be in a relationship with an older woman is different. Although yeah, but for like a 26-year-old to be with like a 34-year-old
Hmm.
woman is like that's. I think that's a little psychologically that's interesting.
I
I
agree. I
want to
think I
know
don't want an
what's up with that.
extreme difference. I want like not any more than like 4 or 5 years in either direction.
Yeah, I think it's definitely different for I mean, like, there's no way you're gonna have the same mental capacity with a 26-year-old guy.
No, absolutely
He
not.
could be very attractive, but then you know you're not gonna date him. You'll just like, oh, he's a fun time.
Hmm.
It's one of those flings.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like what women would say. No, I hang out with him, but he's stupid. He's a dumb guy. What's the oldest you would go?
Um,
No
I'm
age.
I mean, no, I actually don't really care for like too much older than me. I think it kind of makes me feel too sleepy. Like I couldn't
You couldn't go
go
with a 45-year-old man.
no.
What if he's like young and he's got a? What if he's actively running half marathons?
I guess it would depend on him and the 45-year-olds, and I would maybe figure out like first of all, why is he single at 45? Because I feel like a lot of guys are here's my theory.
I
And
agree with this with what you're about to say.
okay, so I think that men, if they're still single at 45 and they've never been in a serious relationship, never been close to marriage, it's because of like Peter Pan syndrome. Versus for women, I think like we just have less to choose from. I think it's harder for a woman to find someone like that. And I feel like if a guy is single at that age, it's probably because it's like no one's been um, looking at him like a husband.
Possibly, I like this is literally like all I talk about this like on my podcast, and my whole stand up is just this, right?
Hmm.
So different variables. One, if there's a guy who's 45 and he's never been married, which one he's in entertainment, right? That's a valid excuse. Like so
Hmm.
if I meet a woman, she's like, "You're 40, you've never been married, never even engaged." You're like, "I'm a comic, I'm selfish, blah blah blah." I have a friend in Chicago though, 42, never been married, regular job. I s-
Red flag.
I even tell him, I go, "Bro, I at least have this big excuse. I'm
Hmm.
chasing some. I'm doing like one of the hardest things in the world. What's going on, bro? You got it." Like he's like, "Oh, I don't know." Like I go, "That's a red flag, especially if you're not really wealthy, because that can be
Hmm.
a big excuse. You could be like, "Oh, he's just really rich, so you know what he was doing." You're
Yeah.
like, okay, he's just enjoying his life. He can date. He's probably flying women wherever he wants, right? So there's that. And then also, if he is really wealthy, maybe he was building his business or whatever he was doing, so he's really successful. But if you're just like a regular middle class guy and 45, I agree. There's something going on. Like at least have a story of like,
Right.
no, I was engaged and we thought it was gonna work out. I was in it, or at least be like, I was dating someone for 10 years. There's got
Exactly.
to be something like, but you can't just be like, what's your most serious relationship at 45? Like 2 years.
Yeah, because that means he's been like intentionally dodging marriage
Then
because there's so many women that want to get married.
there's some intimacy issues, or his he's too picky, and his maybe like he. Why am I blanking on the word? Like he thinks he can do better than he can.
Hmm.
Like he's got to lower his standards maybe a little bit. That could be a thing. I don't know. What about a woman though?
With a woman, I just think it's so much, at least speaking to my experience, because I have been like chronically single for a long time. And same as you, I use comedy as an excuse, and it has been a factor, has absolutely been
Oh,
a factor.
I honestly think one of the hardest people to date in the world it would be a female comic.
It's really, really tricky. Like, I've definitely seen how I've been on first dates and told someone about that part of my life,
And you see
and
them go.
they're visibly off putting.
They
It's
go like this.
visibly off putting.
They're like, "Oh yeah, that's great to meet you." And then she's like, "I'm a comic." And they go,
Yeah, great. Well, they act like it's cool. They pretend like it's so cool when they're first learning about it. And then the attitude shift is just so tangible that I'm like, oh, okay, he's not going to get past this. But like, whatever. That's a deal breaker to me that someone can't be supportive of that. But what does that mean? I'm like, just relegated to then having to date other comics, which doesn't work,
"No."
or like the rare bit of people that are actually okay with it, and it's just like a small circle. So it's hard to find people that are compatible with me, supportive of what I do, and not going through it in their lives. Because I feel like I have a really bad habit of dating people who are not in a place where they should be dating anybody. Like a fixer syndrome type thing, which I'm
Really?
aware. Yeah, yeah, I've definitely dated some projects.
What is that? Stem from something with your family?
Probably.
Was your mom around?
Oh yeah, everybody
Was
was around.
and they're still together?
No.
So there was a broken home thing.
There's definitely a broken home thing, and I'm the polar opposite of my mom, where she is like crazy dependent on people and doesn't like to be the decision maker in things, versus me, I'm hyper independent. Like, I once pushed a couch up a set of stairs myself because I refused to ask for help. I wouldn't do that now. I've since gotten therapy to not do shit like that, but just the hyper independence portion of it
Yeah.
is still there. So I've dated a lot of guys where it's like, oh, he's new to sobriety, or he's going through a serious shift in his career, so he's not in a good place with his confidence. And it's like, he should just be fixing his shit and not dating anybody. And then I find him and date him for a couple months. Inevitably, it doesn't work out. But then I also think, like, I don't try to date a lot, which is what keeps me single. When I started doing stand up, I straight up didn't date like for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years at all, because I was going out doing spots every single night. There was just no room for it. And I felt so satiated with like human connection because I was like making all these friends and I was out doing stuff all the time. So I didn't have time to even be lonely. So I was just like on autopilot
Yeah.
doing stand up every night, hanging out with my friends when I wasn't doing stand up, like going to birthday parties or going to social events. And like, I just straight up didn't date. And then I've like really sparingly dated a couple people here and there for like stints up to like 6 months, you know?
In the last 10 years,
Yeah, basically.
your longest relationship, 6 months.
Yeah. Which I had a bunch. I was like kind of a serial monogamist when I was younger, like started dating at 16 and then had boyfriends like almost back to back to back to back until I was like 22.
Wow.
I like lived with a guy. I was in a relationship for 2 years, 3 years. Like
Have you been out here though? When did you come out here?
I came out here 12 years ago,
From where?
Cleveland.
Oh. Wow, I did not know that you're. So that's where your family is in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
Still,
Yeah.
they're like, nope, we're staying.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's
So
a lot more affordable there.
you went to elementary school in Cleveland.
Sure did.
Wow,
Yeah.
interesting. That's why you're kind of like an introvert
You think I'm an introvert?
at first, I always thought of you as like a quiet, nice person.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
am, yeah. I
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely have that. I feel like I'm really balanced with my introversion and extroversion. I don't think I fall like too far on one side of it because I like definitely get really lonely and seek connection often. Like I can't sit home more than 2 consecutive days. I start to get like just really
Yeah.
panicky and cabin fever of like I got to go out and I got to talk to a person face to face because I don't think anybody's like getting their connection thing filled from
Yeah.
online interaction or over the phone interaction. But then if like let's say I go to a birthday party and I'm catching up with like 20 to 30 friends, I am taxed at the end of that, and then I need to go home and then I need to be alone for a little while.
Hmm. I love alone.
Alone's pretty great.
Yeah, alone's great. I love having my own space. That's wait. I wanted to go back on something with you.
Hmm.
Forgot.
The family stuff,
Maybe,
the
but
dating
it's just
projects.
interesting. Yeah. So you like, oh, it was like kind of when I first met you. Yeah, you're like, well, more so. We did a show. We did Ian's show a while back. Your stand up's come a long way.
Thank you.
I just want to show that was a really good set.
Appreciate it.
Um, so that was yeah. It's just like you. I always pictured you. It's comedy for a woman's got to be very intimidating, anyways.
Hmm.
So a lot of them are mostly. It's like you would think they're introverts because it's a tough scene to open up and be vulnerable because it's so judgy, and comics are the worst type of people when it comes to. Some people are very good at it, and I think that's part of the reason they're successful is they're really sweet. But like even I struggle with like wanting to meet new people in comedy. I'm like I have my friends, I'm good,
Yeah.
and like people probably think I'm standoffish, and I'm like no, I'd like to get to know you on my own terms. I don't want to do it in a lobby of a
Yeah.
comedy club, or I don't want to do the fake bullshit,
I
you
do
know?
that too because I think what happens with a lot of people is they'll come on the scene and then all of a sudden they have like this instantaneous spike in popularity. And for me, I have to like see someone for a while, like a number of times. I need
Yeah.
to like be on a certain amount of shows with you or end up in certain like a number of situations where you've been like vetted by mutual friends or you've shown that you have staying power within the scene because I think
Yeah.
I got burned a lot when I first started of like growing close to people that then just quit. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to like spend my energy and invest in people that are not going to be around for the long term because I want relationships that are going to like last. Like this is a fucking marathon.
Oh,
Ironically, this
yeah.
is a marathon
It really
career.
is.
I can't believe I'm at my 10-year anniversary. I'm like, what the fuck happened? I blinked and all of a sudden I've been doing this
Wow.
shit for a decade. And I have, only a handful of friends that I can point to and be like, these people have been here the whole time.
Well, I mean, one thing I've learned, this is why maybe I'm fortunate for it. I have my buddy Scott, Todd, Matt, CY, um, for there might be like 5 people out here that I've known from high school, college.
Oh, that's
So that's like
amazing.
pretty lucky. And then all of them but one are married, and 3 of them, oh, AJ, so 6. 3 of them are married with kids, and I get to check out and go be around them and be like, all right, hey, what's up? So I have this normalcy, and like I'm just like Uncle Mike, and but I have these normal friends who've known me and they know who I am to the core. So they're my like real friends and someone I can like talk to. And then I have my comic friends, but comic friends aren't real friends. They're just not. It's just like like people like, oh, they're best friends. They are to a point. You know what I mean? Like I do have some comic friends that are best friends, but like ultimately everybody is looking at the prize, and that's all that matters to them for the most part. Not everybody. There's like literally I have like 2, like that. I'm like, okay, this is like if he got married, I would be his best man. He would be my best man. Um, but ultimately, like having if I feel like I kind of pick up on people in the comedy scene. I'm like, do you have outside friends? I always find that interesting. If they don't, and I've experienced this even with people I've been close with in comedy over the years that I'm maybe not as close with anymore. Like looking back on it, I'm like, where were their community of friends that they had from high school and college? How come they're
Hmm.
not friends with them anymore? And I always like what that always interested me. I'm like, I don't know if it's judge a character or whatever. Who I'm not gonna get deep into that, But I think it's healthy to have that around. I don't know if you do. As I say this, she's sitting
Hmm.
there going, "I'm not friends with anyone from my high school."
No,
I'm kidding.
I
But
have
you know
a
what I mean?
small handful of
It's
people who
it's
are anchors.
it's good to have that. I think it's healthy to have that so that you don't, get in that space of like, it's hard to keep these friends in comedy and the spike of popularity and stuff. But let's go back to the dating stuff.
Yeah,
It's fun.
please, it's so fun. What are your red flags?
Number one now, here's the thing. Before we, like, I know exactly what would be compatible for me and what I'm into. Although I am working, not that I'm gonna be sober forever, but I'm like 25 days sober.
That's
Not that
amazing.
I've
Good
not
for
that
you.
I've needed to, but I was like after my 40th, I wanted to give myself a break because from like the Netflix is a joke to my birthday, I was partying a lot, but
Hmm.
it never really got in the way of stuff. I've always worked hard, but I wanted to see how my brain would operate with like freshness and see if I would write better and write more efficiently. And I think I am. I think it is making a difference. But that also is I felt like I did have an addiction to like the dating app thing.
Hmm.
I was just constantly swiping, and then I could like go. I've even put clips up about this, and they've gone viral, and women have gotten mad, and they're like, "That's a sick mentality." You're like, "Well, okay, I'm just telling you how it is." Like, one of them was like you could go on a great date and hit it off with someone, and you'll still go home and pick up your app and be like, "Well, let me see what else."
Yeah.
And people are like, "That's disgusting." I'm like, "No,
Everyone's doing
everyone's
it.
doing that. Like, you're crazy if you think that's just me. I'm telling you what the world is like. Every guy does that, and maybe some women do, but we all obviously we operate differently. But I find myself doing that, and I'm like, what am I doing? And then it's like a game, and then I'm just chasing, and then it's like you meet nice people, but then when I'm like, all right, let me put effort into some of these people. Like I met a lady, she was a single uh mom, and she was cool, and I was like, oh, I vibed with her, I'd like to see her again. It was so hard to. So I'm like,
Mm.
okay, so it's not only me, like it's hard to try to like date someone. And then there's like this girl, she was 26, 27, so that's 13 years younger than me. Big difference, but responsible, like had a job, owned a place.
Wow.
So I was like, oh, this is like a, but I'm also like, there's just a disconnect. I can't even, it's like, she has the qualities that you would like, but I'm like, I just know this isn't a thing that I could take seriously, right? Um, so a red flag for me would be only because this is like through previous relationships, they have to have some sort of ambition. Like that's number one. Obviously, if you take the major two things out of a relationship that are very important, which is sexual chemistry and then like just the connection through conversation. It's easy. It's got to be easy. You got to be able to hang out with them, go to dinner, whatever. That's easy. Those are like the two things, right? But then it's like, what is someone like when you're with them all the time? How do they deal with anxiety? How do they deal with stress? What's it like when they get mad? If you guys have an argument, what's your fighting? Are you compatible at fighting? Like all those things are really what matters in a relationship. So like one thing for me is you having something that you are going after. And it doesn't even have to be an art or something. It's just like, I love what I do. This is my job and I enjoy working. Like that. That's one. Um,
Taking care of your body can be an aspiration. You can be like, oh, I'm trying to learn how to do the splits, or I'm trying to learn how to get good at pickleball, or whatever it is. It like speaks to
someone
part of
who's
someone's
healthy like
character.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I like that. Someone who's like actively yeah, I've never even thought about that. Like someone who's like I guess is mentally healthy.
Hmm.
That's a big one, which
It
is a
is.
very hard thing to find in LA with women.
Is it?
I
I'm
don't know
so
if I'll get in trouble for
curious.
saying that one, but like, yeah, yeah, kind of. You'd be surprised and be like, I've had, there was 6 months where I was like, okay, you know what? I'm out because I cannot help anyone else right now.
Yeah,
Like, I cannot dig you out of, like, I need you to be like, you got your shit under control. Like, that's kind of, and those things you don't find out right away.
no, you don't.
You
You
have
have
to
to commit
wait a
to it.
little bit to find it. So I've also taught myself is to like, realize when something's infatuation,
Hmm.
and you're like, whoa, whoa, just chill. But like, yeah, I like you so far.
Are you quick with second dates if you like someone, or are you like, let's schedule
Very
a second
quick.
date
That's
right
like my
away?
weakness. Like if I like someone,
Mm.
I'm like, I want to see you tomorrow.
Oh,
Like I want to find out quick. It's
yeah.
kind of like the I've always been a little bit impulsive, but I'm like, I want to find out really quick. Like, is this someone I'm compatible with? I
Hmm.
want to find out like in 2 weeks, so
Yeah.
that I can stop everything else. So I don't like lose interest, if that makes sense.
It definitely does. And since we're talking about apps, I'm very curious because I feel like, at least from my perspective and from the perspective of all my female friends I talk to, like they have gotten a lot worse, noticeably worse in like the last year or two. Have you noticed that? If it's even happened to you, have
I
the options
I
gotten worse on apps?
um no, dating's never been easier for me. And I
Oh.
don't know if it's because like I'm older and
Hmm.
I have like gray. I don't know what, or it's because of that pool of single women that are older, but it's like it's never been. I don't know why. So it's harder for me to focus, but it was harder when I was younger. I think it was just like strictly through stand up, but like I'm definitely more like open to like finding someone and be like, Let's go on a date." I mean, it depends. I'm more open. I don't judge off things. Maybe that's why.
Yeah.
Maybe if maybe women are a little bit more pickier, so it feels harder. Whereas I'm not as picky as I used to be. Like there's something like if I met a lady and she was like had a kid, I would be like, "There's no way." Whereas I'll that doesn't stop me now. Like
Hmm.
I would date someone with a kid, or, you know, I don't know. Like I said, I think the West Side is way different. Whereas like if I was in WeHo for 10 years, it's just like actress, bottle service girl, all that, and it's just like, where are you going? I'm going at like it's just like constant like people who want to go out and drink and party, and they want status, and
Hmm.
they're like, who do you know? It definitely was harder in West Hollywood because it's more superficial.
Yeah, that's a good point. Whereas people on the west side, I think, are looking for, I mean, this is a sweeping statement, but I think everyone's looking for a quieter lifestyle. Like they want to be by the beach because they want to go take a walk at sunset or something like
Yeah,
that.
but
Like
it's
that's the
working
priority.
people too,
Hmm.
I think.
Well, you got
But
to work. Everything's so expensive over there.
yeah, everywhere. But I
Yeah.
mean, nobody ever has money in LA. We're all just
Yeah, everyone's just
paying.
pretending.
We're paying to live.
It's true.
But that's but it's harder for you.
It's definitely harder for me, but I think so. Like you were saying, you go on a good date, but you come home and you're opening the app anyway. Do you think that the value of the good date goes down in your head because you know there's just so many choices? Because that's kind of why I think app dating has ruined things to a degree because it's
Definitely
like,
has.
oh, what about the next? Like, well, yeah, this person was fun and great, but like, what about the next guy?
Yeah, I think that's part of the biggest thing is I do think apps have. It's like it's weird because apps have helped, right? It helped you meet people and give you more of a field of people to meet where it was probably harder before apps. I don't even remember. It was like 2014 when apps started. So we're talking about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't even know how I don't even remember. I guess I worked at a bar, so I guess I met people through a bar.
But you were probably going on a way smaller number of dates.
Yeah, well, I was also like poor. Like so it was like I didn't even date. It was just more like you were a young comic. I was dating comedians, right? So
Hmm.
like the first 4 years of my career, I literally like only dated comedians. And then worked at the bar. So or people I worked with or people I met at the bar. So yeah, I wasn't even dates. And then the apps you would like meet me out, but like now it's um yeah, wait, what was the question?
Oh, just that because we have so many
Oh, it's
choices.
yeah, yeah, the dating app thing is definitely toxic for sure.
Yeah, or the
It's
illusion of
addicting.
choice. It's
It's
definitely
addicting
addicting.
and I mean, can you admit like have you done that before too? Have you like gone on a
No.
great date and then been like, "Well, let me see what else?"
No, because I am such like a crush girly and I
Yeah.
love to just have one crush and be like laser focused. And as much as that's unhealthy and I should do more of like the stovetop theory and have like people on the back burner and have like
Yeah.
really diversify my choices,
Maybe, I don't know.
maybe,
That
but
sounds healthier what you're doing.
I don't know. It's I don't know if this is like a good connection to make, but part of the reason that Trader Joe's is so successful as a grocery store is because they don't give people as many choices. Like they only have maybe 10 different types of cereals instead of the 40 different types of cereals that they have at
Oh,
Ralph's, and so they're making more money per square foot because they're taking away the excessive choices from people. So like having too many choices gives you paralysis and it makes things tougher, and I think that there's no way that's not transferring over to dating.
that's interesting. I didn't know that about Trader Joe's. That's so we need a Trader Joe's app.
Yeah.
Well, there's exclusive apps too, but like, no, I think that it's not that like if you were to go on a like that part seems a little unhealthier to go back on and try to find something better, but it's like I the previous two relationships I was in, I was like, okay, let me not search for a partner. Let it just happen, right? So I go, let me continue to date and keep dating, and someone I'll just have a connection and it will stop me. And that's what happened. So that's where I'm in my mentality is like that's what's going to happen again. I'm going to keep going through the motions and I'm going to meet someone and in that night I'm going to know. I'm like, "Oh, what is this?
Mm.
I felt this before. This is whatever we have, there's something here. There's a feeling, there's an energy, and I want to just focus in on you." And I think sometimes I feel it, and then like I try to pursue it, and then it doesn't feel like it's reciprocated, and then I'm like, okay, never mind. But I think that like, yeah, going back on the app after a date, it's not that you're looking for something better, but it's just like you want to keep going
Hmm.
a little bit. Like it's a game, or
Yeah, it is a
essentially.
numbers game. So what I'm hearing is you're like, oh, it's a numbers game, but then you find that person that gives you that special feeling, and that's when you're like, oh, I've hit the number on the roulette machine or whatever.
But you got to hope that they feel that same way.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if they don't, then you're like, okay, that was only one way. Like you're like, but we talked for 3 hours,
Hmm.
or we like the amount of times I've FaceTime date. Have you done that?
I did I ever FaceTime date? I don't
It's
think I've
great.
ever FaceTime dated.
It's the new
No.
thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the new thing, but I tell everyone to do it because it's great. Like before even meeting the person,
Hmm.
if you have some sort of good rapport, let's FaceTime.
Yeah.
Because then at least you know the amount of times I FaceTime someone and I was like, okay,
Yeah. It'll save you.
good thing. Yeah, huge.
I should have done it many times because there's been plenty of dates I've gotten to, and I'm like, oh, we had good banter on the app, and now that we're in front of each other, it's just like so clunky.
100% because you're probably going on like dinner dates.
I don't like to do dinner off the top.
Who, I mean,
That's too much
anyone
of a
that does is
commitment.
insane.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Unless I know you from the outside world already. If I've met you
Yes.
already
Yeah, yeah,
and we
yeah.
have established rapport, we can go out to dinner. That's fine. But like, if you're a complete stranger, please don't commit to a dinner.
Insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
90 minutes tops.
Because then you're stuck. You're like, I don't know what to tell you.
Hmm.
I don't know what to tell you, but this isn't like, unless you can be straightforward and be like, hey, this isn't, what are we doing?
Hmm. Are you strict about paying for first dates?
I mean, if I ask a girl on a date, I'm going to pay for her food.
Good, as you should.
Yeah. Although, she's my boss, Okay, but I have to pay,
Yeah. I mean, I'll split with someone, but he'll never see me again.
Yeah, of course. You just have to for
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Maybe in 100 years you won't have to. I don't know. Like how long it will take, but like, yeah, you definitely, you have to. But I rarely, I like to, if I'm going on a date, it's like I like her and I think that there could be a thing. Otherwise, I'm like I've done, and people will hate this, but I've done things like, what are you doing tomorrow in the day? Like, let's go on a walk and grab a coffee because I have a show. Like, I can.
Why would people hate that? That's great.
Because it's like, oh, you're like, there was a girl. One time I was like, what are you doing tomorrow? Like, she was you live in my neighborhood. I was like, okay, cool. I live off Montana. It's a great walking part. I was like, okay, so what are you doing tomorrow? Like, let's grab a coffee and go walk to Pacific Palace. And she goes, really? She's like, you don't want to like you. I go, I'll take you on a date, but like I don't. You're busy, so like let's at least meet.
Hmm.
It's not even about that, but I'm like, let's go. Let's have a rapport. Let's see if we have something. It's like just her reaction. I was like, we're not on the same wavelength.
Yeah,
Fuck
it's
off.
actually a blessing that she
You know what I
reacted like
mean? Like I
that.
was like, if you can't even like, it's not even about the super fit. Like I'll take you on a date. It's not even about that. But I'm like, it's the daytime. You're my neighbor. Let's grab coffee and walk on Montana and talk.
Hmm.
Like any logical human would be like, yeah, why not? Who cares? I'm not trying to sleep with you that day. Relax.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, you're right to it. Not that you should do that as a means of testing somebody, but
No.
you got to learn that she's not cool. If she doesn't want to go on walks, is that even someone that you want to be in a relationship with?
Yeah, well, just like that you were questioning it. Like I'm not trying to take a back door into sleeping with you. I
Right.
think a lot of women have their guards up and be like, oh, is he just trying to sleep with me and then charm me? And it's like, but that's on you anyways. You're the one who's deciding it.
And who's trying to close on a hookup
It,
during a daytime
it's
walk?
possible. It's very possible.
I don't know. I don't feel
It's not someone.
I don't know if threatened is the right word, but I don't feel like if someone's inviting me on a walk and a coffee that they're trying to end up coming over.
Yeah, like what's the mentality? Like I'm not trying to cheat the system. Like that's a date. We've went on a
Right.
date. Like I'm literally genuinely trying to get to know you. So it's like you're the one in control of the sleeping with anyways.
Mhm.
Guys are dogs. So you are the one who decides. So if you were like, "Oh, the next time I hit you up, I'm like, why don't you just come over and watch TV?" And you said yes, that's on you.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like you're the one who says, "Hey, dinner, then I'll let you hang out with me." Then that's on you. So the walk doesn't even matter.
Right.
The walk is just setting us up to like let's know for sure if we even have a thing.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I like daytime because obviously we're busy at night.
That's true.
And it's so nice to walk on the west side.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
know what I mean?
It's the best.
Even fun things like, hey, let's go meet at Irwin and get some buffalo cauliflower.
Yeah.
Even though that's just as expensive as a date. So, you know what I mean? That's more than a date, probably.
It is. Is there anything that women do on dates that pisses you off?
It would have to like come up, you
Yeah.
know, like nothing, like,
Nothing across the board of like, oh, you're noticing women
well,
do
you could
this?
notice already, like
Mhm.
someone's like, oh, this person parties a lot.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a turn off for me a little bit, but some people like it. But you could be like, oh, they go fast, or they have fun. You know what I mean? If they're combative, like a
Mhm.
little bit, like, and then like, I listen. I'm not perfect, but like, I will, say some inappropriate things pretty quickly to
Mm.
just kind of get a gauge. Just to like I'll say words that I'm not even gonna say on here. Not like the N word, but like I'll say like if someone's like strongly political,
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't care. They're like, I was like, I just literally don't give a shit.
Mhm.
I don't care I don't care. And like I don't care what you do either. Like do whatever I don't care, but I'm not gonna passionately talk about it with you.
Mhm.
And then yeah, just like character flaws maybe. Maybe they're not flaws, but
Things that you know wouldn't work
if
for
someone
you.
laughs too much, I get annoyed.
Really?
Mhm.
What if it's a good laugh?
It can be a genuine good laugh, but like I remember years ago, like 2019, what was I? 5, so I was like 35. I think she was like 28. So she wasn't too young, but like laughing at things that aren't even just like jokes, some just like it's not it's like if you're laughing at my banter fine, but like just like everything, come on. Like it was like too much. Maybe it was a nervous thing. I don't
It
even
might have
know.
been.
I'll never understand because it could have been like a nervous thing, but I remember being like in my head, and I think someone said that was a Seinfeld thing, but I was like,
Mhm.
she's laughing too much. Like everybody has an ick. That's
Yeah,
the
of
saying, an
course.
ick.
Of
What about for
course.
you?
Oh, I recently got the ick. It wasn't even on a date. It was someone I was like, if you can even call it talking stages or whatever. I saw him slam a door like really, really hard, like genuinely
A
get
car
mad.
door.
No, a apartment door, and I got the ick from that.
Anger.
Yeah,
So
anger.
anger's an ick.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can't show anger until they're in love.
That's what I always say. I'm like, let me pretend that you don't have a personality disorder until after I'm in love, and then let me deal
What
with it.
was he angry about?
The door. It was jamming.
Oh, he's frustrated about nothing.
Yeah.
That's
Truly
funny.
nothing.
Like
Yeah.
just like go to the door.
But to me, that's a sign of like low EQ
Mm.
that you're gonna get mad at a door.
Something else is going on.
Yeah, I just also am like so sensitive to men's anger. I really can't. Like, there's just
Because
no
what happened?
place
You were
for it.
verbally abused by your father.
It sure was.
Yeah. Was it? Is he first? Are you first generation?
I was born in Ukraine.
Oh, so that's how my parents were foreign too.
Hmm.
So dad yelled it a lot, and
Yeah.
I learned through communication. Like in my last relationship, sometimes we get arguments and I would yell, and that is just because I learned this through therapy. Is like that was how I learned to communicate and fights was by yelling because
Hmm.
that's how I was raised.
That's how
But
I
that's
was
not how
raised too.
everyone
Yeah.
is raised. So when you do that to, if you're with someone, dating someone who didn't grow up in those environments, when you do that, that's shocking and traumatizing to them.
Hmm.
And you're like, oh, well, that was just normal to me. I didn't know. So like I dated a Southern girl, and it's a very like, let me tell you something. If you do something wrong, you're in trouble. Like that's
Hmm.
how she was spoken to by a father's very slow speaking and direct. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna go to your room. You've been naughty, like you know what I mean. Versus where Italian family was like, the fuck you talking about? That's so dumb. Like
Hmm.
I'm not yelling at you. That's just like how I express the emotion. So I had to. That was like kind of like a wake up moment for me. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I never. So I was like, okay, so I have to find an Italian girl, so that I
Yeah.
can be normal. I guess.
I guess. It's also a huge red flag to me when someone's never been in therapy. Or if, let's say, maybe therapy's not their path, if they're like not reading self-help books, or because there's other things besides therapy, right? There's like 12-step programs, there's all kinds of things where if you're part of that program or you're doing therapy or you're considering it, you're doing self-help stuff, going to seminars, whatever, it's an admission that you know that you have problems. Because I think if someone's
That's a
never
good
done
point.
it, then it's like, oh, you think nothing's wrong? You've never questioned your methods?
That's a great point. Yeah, because like whether it's like yoga or
Mm-hmm.
meditation, right? I did meditation for like a year. Then I tried therapy for a little bit and like took some pieces from it.
Mm-hmm.
And then like consciously talking to people about things. Yeah. What about if they've had an addiction problem in
My
the
kryptonite.
past? Really?
Yeah, I am drawn like a moth to the flame to addicts is terrible. Not just in romantic relationships, in friendships. I have had like back to back to back. I'm actually in Al-Anon now because
Oh,
I
wow.
have been in like back to back to back close relationships, romantic and
With
friendship,
friendships.
with people who are addicts. There's like something about them that is just like, and it's because I'm a
Do I
person
know
with
one of them?
probably,
Like the friendship one?
probably. I'm sure you do. I'll tell you after. There was like a big one that I had to like step away from.
Oh, I'm
But
sorry.
no, it's okay.
But girls, that's women.
It's women and it feels like a breakup too.
Sure. I have a couple guy friend breakups
Mhm.
where you're like,
They're
it's
hard.
sad.
It's sad.
Well, it's especially more when like I'll talk about anything. Like I'll have a conversation about it, and when they don't, you're like, okay, you're like, what the fuck's wrong with you?
Mhm.
Like, yeah, like there's definitely a couple guy friends where I'm like, it's bothered me for a little bit. I'm like, what? Pick up the phone and like at least have a. If it's like, hey, agree to go our separate ways, but like let's have a conversation about
Mhm.
this. That bothers me a lot.
Yeah, and it should. And my thing I think with why I'm so drawn to it is because I naturally have control issues. And so when I think I can step in and like control a person's life for them to like pull them out of something or to help them like see the light and be better, that's really appealing to me. But that's what I'm like getting help with in Al-Anon is I don't need to be controlling other people's things for them. I need to just focus on me and let people go their own way.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
I'm curious to see how it'll impact my dating life.
Well, it seems like your dating life needs
Is
to be
non-existent.
impacted.
Yeah, it does need to be impacted. I
And
just need to partake more in it. I don't know. I just got so like fed up with Hinge and Bumble and
Marina Del Rey,
yeah. And I mean,
it's a good
I'm on
scene.
Raya, but nobody talks to me on there.
Raya's different. Raya's just like
You're just on there to be seen.
you go to the DMs.
Yeah.
Raya works for me. I mean, people are always like Raya doesn't work for me. I'm like, I think I'm really good at like creating a profile and being silly enough that it's not cringe, and I don't take myself too seriously on
Hmm.
there. Um, Hinge too. Do you want me to look at your Hinge profile?
I don't have one.
Oh,
Yeah, I got off of it like probably I don't know 6 months ago because
there's
it just
something
pissed me
there's
off.
something funny about being so mad at an app that
Hmm.
that's your closing slamming the door.
Yeah,
You're
it
like, I'm
is.
deleting this.
Yeah.
And Hinge is like, no. Like like you got them. But I think Hinge is like the healthiest one, no?
I suppose it is. I think what happened, I wasn't paying for it, so I was truly just
I don't
getting.
pay for it.
Yeah, but there's so many more attractive women than there are men.
Really?
Yeah.
You're
I
just
feel like
picky.
no, here's what happened. I thought Hinge was skewing my perception of how many attractive men there are because I feel like when I'm out in the world, when I go to a bar, I go to an event, or I go to a workout class, like I am seeing a decent amount of attractive men where I'm like, "Oh, this person physically appeals to me." And that's all. But like on Hinge, it was a way smaller fraction. I was mostly seeing guys that I thought were ugly, and I was very rarely seeing someone attractive. And I was like, there are not this many ugly men in the world. Like this is skewing my perception of things. I got to get off of here before I get like just really, really bitter and
I
cynical.
would have thought you would do well on there. I mean, you're an attractive young lady, but then you probably do you have like stand up comedian on there?
No, no, I keep career stuff off of there. And maybe I just wasn't getting I wasn't very intentional with how I built out the profile. Like I didn't make it very personal. I kind of was lackadaisical about it of like not putting very much and not answering a lot of prompts and just kind of like
I keep that. I like mine's not too serious either. Like
mhm,
when I come to first of all, like I don't need to really scroll. Like if the first picture gets me like really attractive,
mhm.
I'll start looking. But off the first picture, I can tell whether I'm gonna be attracted to a girl
Same.
just based off of what she posted as
Yeah.
her first. I know psychologically how she feels about herself. Like I'm like, you don't know what you're doing if that's your first picture. You know,
Oh.
if I'm
Like
like
what? Give me an example.
sometimes I feel bad because like it will be like a 43-year-old lady who probably hasn't been in the dating app world, and it's just like a selfie of her like this. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like what like. And then like there's like there will be a picture of a girl who's like moving in it, like her like it's just like it's like, what are you hiding? Like like a girl who's very confident in herself. She knows how to post. Then there will be one who's just like it's just like every prompt is like a paragraph. And it's like, who are you talking to?
Yeah.
And also psychologically, you got some shit going on. Like you're like fed up and you're preaching to the like that's too much. Like keep it simple. I don't need to know you.
Mhm.
This is stupid. This is an app. It should be very shallow based. I'm attracted to you, your age, your height, your neighborhood.
Oh, so women's height matters too?
It can for sure.
Okay.
Like I don't want to date someone who's 6 foot.
Fair enough.
Like I mean I've been with women who are like my height.
Mhm.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
But
It's
there
probably rare, a 6-foot woman.
no there was a girl I was talking to for a bit and she was like it was we weren't dating. It was just like a friends of benefit. But she was like 5'10",
Oh, wow.
and I was just like I mean she was beautiful, but like in my head I was like it's like yeah there's something about cuddling.
It's not doesn't feel masculine to be the little spoon.
Yeah, I usually don't matter about height, but I
Mhm.
keep my height because I know women care about height
Yeah,
for sure.
they do.
So that's a big thing for women. So like, guys, don't fucking like put it out there. Let them know what you're getting. I think it's also so stupid how much people want to hide things. Like,
Oh my god, the
give them
amount
what
of
you're
men that
getting.
lie about their height is
Do
so
say what
crazy.
you are, but also like looks. Every like just show what you are.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, like so the app thing or how they look on yeah I just feel like I can really gauge off of an app and be like all right depending on how lonely you are you can talk yourself into swiping on someone you're like all
That's true.
right, you know
Yeah. I can definitely discern whether someone's going to be someone I even want to like have a first date with, definitely off the pictures, because there's pictures, there's like so many red flags I feel like in a photo. If a guy is like has even one or two photos where he's like sticking up his middle fingers, I'm like, "Oh, you're aggressive." And I see that a
like
lot on app.
this
Yeah, I see a lot of pictures
that
of
seems
guys.
young that's a young thing
Yeah, I
unless you're
suppose.
next to Eminem right
Yeah, then it's okay.
like I don't yeah that's like I can't imagine any of my friends I
Hmm.
even know on dating
Yeah.
apps that are single in Florida those guys or New York, like all my like, there's a few they would never be like this. Maybe they're like 27,
Maybe.
but that's kind of crazy.
Gym mirror selfies. Yuck.
Yeah, it's a little sociopath.
It's definitely.
Like you don't have to post that. If you just have a photo of you and your friends, we can tell you have a good body.
For sure.
We know like girls know what to look for.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So yeah, gym selfies is. Yeah, I'll look sometimes on Raya. You can go to like the location and then
Hmm.
it'll show you and then so you see the guys apps. I love looking at some of the guys apps.
Oh,
Like
funny.
just to like Like it will be like an agent or like a guy who like works in sales or something, but he's on there and just sunglasses, suit, like it's just like there's no humility.
No.
So that's what I think. I think that's kind of maybe why my apps do well is like there's humility in there. It's like I'm not taking myself too seriously.
Hmm.
I think that helps a little bit.
I just learned a really good pro tip about apps of like being, and I think instinctively I just was this way anyways, but like being dismissive when a guy or a girl's app, when they're answering a prompt or they're writing like a bio, instead of actually telling you about themselves and what they bring to the table, they just post like a help wanted ad and they talk about what they want in a person and what they don't want in a person.
Oh yeah.
And it comes off just like really needy and picky and critical. And it's like, I don't need to know what you don't want. You can come to my profile and discern whether I fit that criteria or not.
Oh
But
wow,
tell me what the fuck you bring to the table.
that's a good. I've never thought about it like that. But yeah, I'll see those and I'm like,
Yeah. I don't want
don't
liars. I
don't
don't want
swipe. And then
cheaters.
you're like okay, you're traumatized.
Uh-huh.
Like relax. No, but I deliberately want to, and part of like going back to doing the sober thing is like, okay, I want to like deliberately try to date.
Hmm.
And then I don't know what I want, but like I want to like focus on getting to know someone a little bit.
Have you had like a crazy bad date?
No, no, I there was this one girl maybe like a year ago, and she was just combative. Like we were arguing like from the like I met her at like Wally's, which is crazy, and then we were at this is when I knew this wasn't gonna be good. Like I think like we were supposed to go somewhere else, but she met at Wally's and she's like, "Oh hey," like it was like kind of like she was annoyed. We walked in, we sat at the bar at Wally's, and we're hanging out, getting to know each other, and there was this like couple next to us, these two like older ladies, probably like in their 50s, but like all dolled up, like seemed like they were like bosses, right? Probably rich, divorced women having fun. And then like I like caught part of the conversation and then made a joke, and then they now we're bantering with
Hmm.
them. She wasn't having that,
Oh.
which I'm like, what? Like this is fun.
Hmm.
Like you know what I mean? Like if you're not on board with this, like we're laughing with these people and they're being silly, and she's like, "Oh, you guys are on a date?" Yeah, the first date actually. And then we're like laughing, making jokes, and she's like kind of playfully, and I kind of got the vibe she wasn't, but when we left, she was just like, that was annoying. And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, that was kind of fun. She's like, I don't know. Like, we're on a first date. I was like, yeah, but like that breaks the eye. Like, right? Am I like,
Yeah.
I'm like, that was hilarious. It wasn't like I was turned my back and was talking. I was like, oh, this is fun. She's asking us questions. Like,
Hmm.
that makes the date fun. Then we went somewhere else, and it's like I was attracted to her, but like there was this attitude where I was like, should we just call it? And she's like, no. She's like, why are you being insecure? I was like,
If
okay.
someone says, "Should
I
we
was like,
just call it?" You
I was
call
like,
it.
I'm not being insecure.
Yeah.
She's like, well, it seems like you are. I go,
Oh no.
no, I'm just picking up. Like I'm observing that. Are you having fun? She's like, yeah, I'm having fun. I go, well, it doesn't seem like it. So then we're having that.
Yeah.
She goes, I think you're just being insecure. I go, okay, I'm being insecure. I go, I'm just feeling like you're not really enjoying. She goes, I am enjoying it, but I'm not sure about you yet. I go, okay, but this like, why are we arguing?
Hmm.
You're making this not fun. We even hung out a second time.
Oh,
The second,
why?
I don't know, because I'm a guy and I'm horny. And I was like, you want to? She's like, well, I want to see. So I go to her house.
Hmm.
So in my head, I'm like, all right, maybe I'm gonna get laid. So I go to her house and we're hanging out on the couch. And it's more like fucking bullshit.
Hmm.
I'm just like, I'm just gonna leave. Like after like more banter, like there were some points where we had deep conversations. We're getting to know each other. I leave, and then like she texts me an hour. She's like, so like I don't understand. Like why are you into me? So when's the last time you got laid? She was asking me like maybe she wanted to know what my intentions were, and I was like, I think I like lied and I said like 2 weeks ago,
Hmm.
right? Because that first of all, that's such an annoying question.
It's a
When a
very.
girl
It's
goes,
so
when's the last time you got
intrusive.
laid? You're
Yeah.
like, I can't win here.
If you ask her that, she'll lose her mind.
What if I did 2 days ago and it
Yeah.
was with someone I don't want to see anymore? Like,
Hmm.
then, like, are you judging me? Like, so it's like such a. So I was like, a few weeks ago. And she goes, well, maybe go back to that last person. And I
Are
was
you
like,
serious?
okay. And then that was it. And then, so that was like a bad one for me, but
Yeah.
it's never been horrible. And then there was another time, and right when Tinder first started, so 10 years ago,
Hmm.
2014. And like there was no Uber, and she came over, and it was like she didn't look how she looked, and we hooked up anyways. And then she like I was just like I don't really want to have sleepover, and she's like I don't care, and she wouldn't leave my bed. And then I remember like live tweeting it, being like, "This girl's still here. I just met her. She won't leave my bed. I offered to buy her a cab because there was
Mhm.
no Uber, and it was just like, yeah, it was like my first, actually, I think like my second Tinder date ever,
Mhm.
and she had just got dropped off by her friend, and I was like, oh, you're not what I expected. But I've never had like a really bad one. I think women probably have way worse ones. I'm
Yeah, I
sure.
suppose. I've never had like, oh, fear for my safety bad, but I had a guy that was just like getting progressively more racist as the date went on, and I was like, well, this is really
Like how
uncomfortable.
racist?
Like, and I used to do this as a bit on stage, but when I told him I'm Jewish, he said, "That's all right, you don't look Jewish," and then he went into a tirade about Jewish people. After I told him I'm Jewish.
Like hardcore, like they run the world kind of Jew stuff.
Yeah.
Nice,
Yeah.
my kind of guy. I gotta be friends with this guy.
He was then trying to convince me how he should have a podcast because he's really brilliant and does all these things with science and how the world needs his voice, yada yada. And then he started talking about and he used the word ghetto, which is like not in my lexicon. It just like
Yeah.
sounds weird coming out of a white person's mouth, and it's
I
just the
mean,
way it was.
crazy to be someone like I should have a podcast.
Yeah.
Well, just to talk like that, the amount of men that I've met that I'm like, oh, these like normal people that aren't comics.
Hmm.
Like when you meet a guy who's like really confident and like talks about himself, when you meet a sociopath that's not a comedian, it's
Hmm.
very fascinating.
Yeah, agreed.
You're like, whoa, you're just like a normal guy, and like people at work talk about you probably. They're
Hmm.
like, dude, what's his name? It's literally American Psycho.
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
that, there's actually people like that.
And when they have just like you said, a normal life, it's like, oh, I don't want to sit here and be hypocritical that making fun of this guy for wanting a podcast. As a comedian, I have to fucking have a podcast. This is not. I
Something,
enjoy
yeah.
doing this, but it's like this is a
Part of it.
fixture in our medium.
You
I
need
have to do it.
clips.
I need clips.
Yeah,
I need some way for people to get to learn about me in a way
yeah.
that's not just on stage. But to meet someone out in the wilds that's that way, that thinks that they should have it, and it's like, what? So you can talk about how Jews are weird? Is that why you want
And
a
ghetto,
podcast?
and how
Yeah.
the world's ghetto.
Yeah. So that was the
That's
only.
not a
It's not a
bad date.
terrible date. Yeah. There could be.
I mean,
People have experienced way, way worse. I've never had anybody put me in an unsafe situation, but I think it's also unfortunately. I mean, I'm pretty good at like reading. If someone has anything that indicates danger, I'm just not even gonna like give them the time of day. But I also go on so few dates that thankfully like that has kept me from having to deal
danger
with
is
bad
like
dates.
a different. I think it's more like a bad date, or like would be like them getting too wasted or
That
something like
too.
that.
Yeah, I
I've
haven't
never
had
really
that.
had that either. Yeah,
Thank
just
God.
yeah. More like the thing about a comic, as a comic, there's always a way out of being like, oh, I think I could get on this show. Come with me,
Hmm.
and like you could bring them to like the improv bar,
And then
and then
ditch them.
it's easier to ditch,
Yeah.
or at least you have friends around. You can be like, hey, what's up? Be like, oh,
Hmm.
this is my friend,
Yeah.
and then I could text guy comic to be like, hey, meet this girl. I'm like, you could try. I'm not
Hmm.
into it. Like, meet her, whatever. Like, there's a way to get out of that situation, because for me the harder thing is how do I um put a girl down. I don't want to hurt her feelings. That's my biggest fear. Like
Hmm.
I don't want to hurt her feelings. I want her to just like pick up on it, but I want to be like, hey, I'm not in. I have
Right.
a hard time being like, hey, I'm not into you. Like it's easier for a girl to say that to a guy. He should be able to take that.
Yes and no, because I think we're conditioned to not say things like that because we're afraid that it's going to elicit an angry response, which will then turn it into a dangerous
Oh wow.
situation. Like, I never want to actually anger a guy, so I will try to play it cool too. And I will even, like, to an extent, feign interest if I think it's going to get crazy uncomfortable, if I'm like being too authentic and I'm really uninterested. But I haven't, again, like, been in too many situations where that's the case, where I'm like, ew, I hate you. I can't wait to get out of here. It's like the worst case scenario, some dates are just boring and that's fine, and I just like stick it out and do my best and I'm friendly.
Yeah. You just never know what someone's really thinking.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Yeah.
Well, any last words on dating out here? You have a lot of insight on this. I love it. This is such a
I mean,
fun
it's like
conversation.
literally my life.
Yeah.
There's one more I got. I got this lady. She met me at, Ponchos, that
Yeah.
show. I had her meet. She was like, I think she was like 47.
Okay.
She was older.
I love that you're this open-minded about age.
Yeah, but like
At least in the older direction, because men typically are like very closed off with older women.
I'm open to any age. It doesn't matter to a point, right? Like even like I mean, I've even met like a 23-year-old, even though I know that to some people they're like, that's too creepy or whatever, weird. You're like, listen, I'm just meeting for a conversation. Same with a 47-year. I've even hung out with a 56-year-old in Pittsburgh, surprisingly, last year. And she was cool. She had never been married, nothing. And she was attractive for a 50, but it was like fun talking to her. It's fun
Yeah.
to meet people. And so this one was 47. There is, keep in mind that like when I'm meeting the 47, like there's in my mind, I know I'm not going to date this person. Same where if I meet any girl in her 20s or even like I said, 31, like 31, 32, there has to be like a real like, where are they at?
Mm-hmm.
Like
She's got to have sustenance.
that is a good age though, because there's no rush to like want to get married and have kids yet.
Mm-hmm.
But ideally, like even when I meet with a 47-year-old, I'm like, I'm not gonna ever. This isn't gonna be a girlfriend.
Yeah.
But I'm like, let's see what this is about. This could be fun. Maybe she's open to. You would think that they're more open to casual dating.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually not. The more casual daters are in their 30s.
Mm-hmm.
But she was 47, and she like looked fun, and I was like, oh, maybe this could be like. She lived in like Brentwood. It's down the street. I go, maybe this could be easy and fun. And we met, and she was having a drink. She watched the show, and good conversation. But I wasn't picking up on the clues of whether she was into it. I just wasn't into it. But I was like, I was also tired, and I just didn't care. But I was like, I don't think I was obvious about it. But I was like, yeah, cool. I was like, well, like I'm just kind of tired, but I'm not gonna have a drink. But maybe we could go on a walk after this. And she's like, yeah, let's do that. We finish after the show. She's like, all right, like, let's pick this up another night because I gotta like work. And I was like, okay, and I'll walk you to the car. She's like, okay, let's have a good night. Leaves. I go, text me when you got home. She got home. She like, made it home safe. I was like, great. Next day, I go, what do you got going on today or tomorrow? Nothing.
Mm.
And that was it. So I'm just like, I'll never know what it was.
Yeah.
Was it I was obvious that I wasn't into it, or was it she not into it? Was I not what she expected? You never get the answers.
You never get the answers.
But, or
That's
maybe
the toughest part.
the thing she was saying, she was like, because I was like, I remember being like, what's your issue? Like, what? She's like, I don't know, I'm a sex addict.
Oh.
And like, was that even a joke or was that real?
Mm-hmm.
Because she had never been married. And I was like, oh, she must be. I go, what? I jokingly, maybe that turned her off. I jokingly, I go, what are you, an alcoholic? Like, because something.
Yeah, it's something.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
But here we are.
Yeah.
You
Well,
got nothing else?
I got nothing else for you. Michael
like-
Lenoci, thanks for doing this.
She just cries for the next 2 hours. She's like, he just showed me the world of how bad it is out there.
No, I don't feel depleted or depressed by this conversation at all.
No,
It's
you
actually
shouldn't.
very energizing.
I think it's easier in bigger cities, people, also.
It is easier in bigger cities.
And people say it's so hard to date in big cities. It's like, no, there's just more options.
There's more options. You just have to be more careful. That's all.
Yeah.
Use your good judgment. All right, tell people where they can find you.
Just, look up my name. If you really care, you'll find me. You know what I mean?
I like
I
that.
love how podcasts are like, tell them where they know how it's in the description. If you like it, you'll find me.
You have tour dates and whatnot.
I have some dates,
Yeah.
yeah. MichaelLenoci.com and then Michael Lenoci on Instagram and YouTube and stuff. And, just try not to write so many mean comments. I already get so many a day. So
Same. Be nice.
it's all right. That's part of it. Like in the last 2 years, you become such a thick skin.
Yeah, you
It's
have
like
to.
if I don't get mean comments, I'm like, what's going on?
Right. All right. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.